very warm welcome to the thorough newspaper analysis of 23rd January 2023. We have a very important editorial from a judiciary exam point of view, that is Chargesheet, FIR, and why the Supreme Court said that the former is not a public document. The second editorial talks about a discussion upon Article 19 of the Constitution of India, followed by news updates as well as legal news. Starting with the first editorial, the Supreme Court recently held that a charge sheet cannot be allowed to access freely, as the same would be violative of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. Doing the same would compromise the rights of the investigating agencies, the victim, as well as the accused. In the landmark case of K. Veeraswamy versus Union of India, the court held that the charge sheet is nothing but a final report of the police officer under section 173(2) of the CRPC. The contents of a charge sheet should include name of the parties, nature of information, details of offences, inform whether the accused has been arrested and whether any action has been taken. The court held that charge sheet is not a public document under section 74 and 76 of the Indian Evidence Act. Public documents, as mentioned under section 74, contain the following: forming the acts or records of the sovereign authority, official bodies, tribunals and public officers, public records kept in any state of private documents. The court also reiterated that as per section 75, all documents apart from those mentioned under section 74 are private documents. The next editorial discusses the draft amendments to the IT rules, which state that the government agencies like PIB should be able to remove fake articles. The Supreme Court and the Indian Constitution, however, vest no such power in the hands of such government agencies. Under the present amendment, the content that has once marked as fake shall be taken down from the site of the intermediaries without any chance of appeal or redressal of such decision. This goes against the freedom of speech and expression as defined under Article 19. The issues that have been raised with the draft bill are as follows. One, that all news media outlets have some sort of online presence, and this gives the government a blanket censorship power. Two, Section 66A was struck down in the Shreya Singhal case. This case held that errors of facts was not a sufficient ground for reasonable restriction. 3. The PIB's record of marking news as fake is far from perfect. The power of striking down news without the chance of having them redressed or an appeal is constitutionally untenable. Going to the news updates now, the history walk for G20 guests in Purana Qila. Currently, one of the excavated trenches at the site is being turned into a visitor spot by the Archaeological Survey of India, where those who walk in can see a continuous habitation of 2500 years. At 8 meters below the ground level on the excavated trench are traces of pre-modern era, that is 6th to 4th century BC. The second is an important financial update. SEBI launches database on municipal bonds. As a part of efforts to develop the bond market, an outreach program on municipal bonds and municipal finance was organized by SEBI in the national capital. The next is also an important financial update. It tells us about Exim data revised, trade deficit narrow by $10 billion. We all know that trade deficit is when the number of imports increases by the number of exports. The total merchandise exports between April and November are now pegged at $298.3 billion, nearly $12 billion higher than original monthly data suggested. The import bill in those 8 months is now estimated to be $493.5 billion and about $1.7 billion higher than the initial numbers. The trade deficit in the first 8 months of the year is $10 billion lower than what has been indicated. BSF starts Ops Alert exercise. The Ops Alert exercise commenced from 21st January and will continue till 28th January, held at the Indo-Pak border from Sir Creek, which is a marshy area, to the run of Kutch in Gujarat and Barmer district of Rajasthan. The BSF will carry out special operations in forward and depth areas as well as creeks and Harami Nala as a part of the exercise. Here, what is important to note is that the Ops Alert exercise is between India and Pakistan, and Sir Creek, which is a marshy land between India as well as Pakistan. The next news update tells us about UN approves second four-year term for Environment Chief Inger Andersen. The assembly defeated the Russian proposal by a vote of 13 to 77 with 62 abstentions. It was held that a secret ballot on Anderson's nomination approving her on 136 to 0 votes with 31 abstentions. ICSI appoints Manish Gupta as new president. The Institute of Company Secretary of India also appointed CS B. Narasimhan as the vice president of the institute. They will chair for the term of 2023. IIT Madras develops BharOS. It is India's indigenous mobile operating system. It is developed by J&K Operations Private Limited, a company established by IIT Madras. Director of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, Praveen Sharma, a 2005 batch officer from Indian Defence Service of Engineers, the IDSE, has been appointed as Director Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Inaugural edition of Indo-Egypt Joint Training Exercise Cyclone 1. It is in progress at Jaisalmer in Rajasthan. The exercise engages both the contingents to advance special forces skills such as sniping, combat freefall, reconnaissance, surveillance and target designation, sharing of information on weapons, equipment, innovations, tactics, techniques and procedures. The next news information talks about the Parakram Diwas, celebrated in the honor of birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. To commemorate the occasion, 21 unnamed islands in Andaman and Nicobar were named. Talking about the legal updates, in the case of the ESI Corporation versus MS Radhika Theatre, the ESI Act is applicable to factory or establishment irrespective of the number of persons employed, has been held by the Supreme Court. With a bench of Justices M.R. Shah and Justice C.T. Ravi Kumar, the court held that the ESI Act would be applicable even if the factories were set up prior to 31st March 1989. The Act would also be applicable irrespective of the number of the persons employed. So, guys, this was the thorough newspaper analysis for today. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the same. Thank you and stay tuned.